Hi everybody, Dave Winder here as we are talking about Murray State Athletics making its move into the future with our facilities review and reveal of the plan going forward for the racers and the various venues. And today we're going to talk specifically about how all of these improvements that we've been talking about for Murray State Athletics, how it's going to affect women's student athletes and the experience that they're going to get being a racer, and all the other things that goes involved with women's athletics. And with us today is our Director of Athletics, Kevin Saal, and our Senior Women's Athletic Administrator, Velvet Milkman, who is also our women's golf coach and the only golf coach we've ever had because she started the program back in the early 1990s. So appreciate you all being here today. So Kevin, maybe why don't we just start with this entire thing has taken about 14 months to get to this point.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Appreciate the opportunity. This is a really important piece for Murray State Athletics and our future as we lay out, the pathway for our facilities. And I think really important component that we want to talk about today is the impact to the young ladies in our program. We've got 9 female sports at Murray State University. We've got a co-ed rifle program, and we've got just some great bones to our facilities, and we want to make some great improvements that can help us in a lot of different ways. Number one, I think we want to become the regional centerpiece for women's athletics in Western Kentucky, whether that's the racers and the intercollegiate athletics, whether that's youth sports and the opportunity to host camps and clinics in the summer, showcases, to give young women in Western Kentucky the opportunity to spend a lot of time on campus at Murray State University, introduce them to college life, and potentially an opportunity to compete for the racers.
Well, Coach Milkman, when you look at it, Murray State University is the jewel of the 18-county service area of the purchase area in West Kentucky. And there's a lot of women's and girls athletes that are going to be wanting to go to college and be able to play. And I don't guess I'd really ever looked at it, but 130 women's student athletes at Murray State right now, have about 88 scholarships for those. So we are providing quite an opportunity for young women to come to college and be able to compete at a very high level.
Yes, Dave, we are the jewel of the service region and very proud of that. We have been for a long time, and this is an opportunity for us to continue to get better and provide more opportunities for women in athletics. And we've done that for a long time. We do that very well at Murray State. Our student athletes do well. They enjoy their time here, and they go on to be leaders in their field. And to be able to enhance that and continue to offer those opportunities and expand and offer more opportunities for young girls in sports is very, very important for our future. And it's very exciting, the path that we're going here at Murray State.
Well, when you take a look at all these venues that we're going to improve over the next several years, we talk all the time about the student athlete experience. And I know in your women's golf program, you want your ladies to have the best experience they could have, whether it's the venue they get to play at or where they get to travel and the uniforms they get to wear. But when we talk about facilities, how much would it mean for women's student athletes here in the next several years to be able to come to softball and have a video board and go to Cutchin Field and have lights and turf? It could really have a lasting impact on women's college athletes at Murray State.
Yeah, absolutely, it will mean a lot. Providing opportunities for women to grow and develop and gain confidence is very, very important, and they learn that through sport. And the more that they have those opportunities, the better facilities you provide, the better they feel about themselves, the more they're going to excel. I'm excited about the young girls in the community in the surrounding region being able to come and watch, because they all dream of being college athletes, and be able to come and watch in a outstanding facility only makes it better. It makes it fun, and it makes them want to come back, and it exposes them to a lot at an early age, and it develops them and it pushes them in the direction that they want to go, and it'll be really, really good for all the athletes in our community.
And then we start taking a look at the performance center that we could possibly build, an indoor practice facility. We've been looking at some of that as we've been going through these reports. you said the term athletic village. I like the way that sounds, because if you get an athletics building next to Stewart Stadium, between that and the CFSB Center, it really will make it into a village, and then everything's going to be spiffy and brand new.
No question. I think the village component is really important, not only physically, but also just conceptually, to think about all of the pieces that go into the development of young people. Yes, it is facilities. Yes, it is strength and conditioning, and it is working on your craft, but it is also nutrition. It's also education. We have a very good program, women's empowerment education program, that Coach Milkman and then Coach Riggins in our track and field program run that for the young ladies in our program, and that's all a component of that piece as well. And so I really like the concept of a village. When you start to look at the master plan and you see a potential tennis moving up north, and you've got football and softball and baseball and basketballs, and they're all in that condensed area, it gives you the opportunity to create some efficiencies as we develop young people as students, as people, as players, and then ultimately launch them to be professionals.
And every head coach at Murray State knows that recruiting is the lifeblood of any program. You've got to go get the talented young people to bring into your program, and then you've got to shape them, you've got to coach them up. And Velvet, no one's done that better than you. You don't win 12 OVC championships without having some talent out there on the golf course. So maybe let's just talk about Miller, for example, the Miller Memorial Golf Course that's going to get some improvements. Recruiting could really benefit here too when you have a better place to recruit to.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have Miller Golf Course. It's a good facility, and some enhancement there would certainly make it a wonderful facility. Coaching is about recruiting first. You have to get the players in here and get the talent, and then it becomes developing those players. But recruiting is very important, and recruiting is getting harder and harder every year. Facilities are getting better, and we need to continue to get better where we are here at Murray State. And then once you get the player here, I've always said just get them on campus, and it's pretty much it's a sell. But it's just getting them on campus, and that village that Kevin's talking about is very, very important, especially for female athletes. We hear the term, it takes a village, all the time to raise children. And that's what we're doing here. We're not raising children, but we're developing young people to go on into their adult life, and it's very important that they have a support system, not only through nutrition and education and weights, but a support system of a village that people care about them, and having everyone together develops that family atmosphere, which we have here, but it'll only enhance it. And when you're comfortable and you're happy where you are, sky's the limit in your performance.
It's absolutely right. When you're at a place you really want to be, at a place that you start to have a love for, which all of our student athletes, they find that out, that they love being at Murray State, and all of this is only going to help that. So why don't we take a look at each individual facility now and just kind of run through it. And while we're talking about Miller Memorial Golf Course, Kevin, for our student athlete golfers, men and women, to have a place that's covered, heated, out on the range at Miller, that's just one of the things that we're thinking about doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think first and foremost, Coach Milkman and Coach Hunt and I, we've talked about covered hitting bays at Miller Memorial Golf Course. Really important there to have all the technology and the swing speeds and ball flights and all of those pieces, so you can really analyze and get better from a practice standpoint. But we've also talked about the importance of a hitting/practice facility on campus, where if a student athlete has an hour or two between classes and they've got an opportunity to come over and hit some balls, whether that be in a new performance center or whether that be in a retrofitted area that might be vacated in Stewart Stadium, we've got an opportunity to create some things, whether that's golf simulators, whether that's chipping and putting opportunities. We want to be able to do that, because I think those things enhance the ability for our young people to develop as players, both at Miller and on campus.
We were talking earlier about Velvet going to Racer Arena back in the day. Racer Arena opened in the early 1950s, and Murray State basketball played there until 1998. And since then, it's been the largest volleyball-only venue in the country in NCAA Division I for Coach Swepker. Let's talk about that a little bit, Velvet. To have a video board in there and new lights and sound system, bring it.
Absolutely, it would be fantastic. Race Arena is one of the best venues in the country for volleyball, in my opinion. It's my favorite building on campus. It's got a lot of history, and the shell is there, but it's time to update. And you just add a few things in there, and wow, what a facility. And Coach Schwepter's done a great job with our volleyball program. They're at the top of the league, and just to be able to continue to recruit those type athletes and provide that experience for them, and have the young girls that play volleyball, and that's growing in this area, come and watch. It's just going to be an absolutely outstanding win-win for everybody, as far as atmosphere for the players, and opportunities for young athletes to be on campus and have a truly fantastic experience.
And then, years ago it was called Cutchin Stadium, and there actually was a stadium where Murray State currently plays soccer. We call it Cutchin Field. But when you take a look at what Cutchin Field's going to look like, we could almost go back, Velvet, to calling it Cutchin Stadium, because the seating on the hill, it'll still be the hill, but we'll have places to sit, lights, and the whole thing is going to be turfed with a press box and a video board. I'm really excited about the direction that's going to take for our women's soccer program.
Absolutely. The soccer program's done very well. And I love where the field is located. It's right in the heart of campus. It's right there by Kerr Center. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of activity around our soccer program and our games. And to have, the enhancements that we're talking about will certainly improve the fan experience, but also it will improve our student athlete experience. Having turf is second to none. It will allow you to be out on the field more. We don't get practice canceled a lot because of weather. It's usually because of ground conditions. And if you can have turf and you can practice and you can play more, it just provides more opportunities for our women.
And Kevin, this turf we're talking about for soccer, it's not like the turf you would get at football or baseball. It's a turf made for soccer.
No question. The specificity of different turf products, whether it's a baseball, a softball, a football, or a soccer, is out there. You see some turf systems that have the crumb rubber, but also have some cork in it to create that more natural bounce and spin play that you can see in soccer. And Velvet touched on it. It's a great opportunity from a player development standpoint for us to be out there a lot. The potential in that facility, in that location, is really amazing. If we stop for just a second and think about the way campus is laid out, it sits right in the middle of the residential colleges and the academic buildings and the bridge that goes over that connects to the Curra Center. So the amount of student activity in that area on a day-to-day basis, the Curra Center and some of the potential there with the new Chick-fil-A, right? There's a patio outside Chick-fil-A where you can sit and eat your Chick-fil-A and watch soccer. And so that's just a great venue. And again, from the sound system, the video board, the turf, to the press box, we talked about enhancing locker room and training room area, particularly if the tennis facility moves. There's a lot of enhancements that can certainly help our women's soccer program. Well,
and let's go into Benny Purcell courts. It needs some attention if the courts are going to be where they currently are. But when you take a look at the Murray State University master plan for the university, there is one thought that we could go over to Waldrop Drive, where the current intramural courts are, and really take that area and make it the best tennis facility in the OVC, which would be complete with their own building, offices, locker room, concessions, public bathrooms, etc. That could be really big for women's tennis, and the ability to stream our games, our matches.
Absolutely. Again, a lot of potential in our tennis facility as well. Regardless of the site, we want to resurface the courts, new nets, fencing. We want to get some scoring, and the video streaming component, I think, is one thing that we have a tendency to maybe walk past a little quickly. Our women's tennis program is comprised of 100% international students, and it has been a majority international students for quite some time. So the ability for us to both recruit internationally but also broadcast games to families and friends internationally is really important. So we want to be able to set up a robust streaming system where you've got each court, and then maybe you have a global view of all the courts where you can switch between those views and you can watch, and we can record and archive and give us an opportunity to really impact the recruiting and the family experience in that process. Moving to Waldrop helps solidify that athletics village component. It brings one more facility a little closer to the north side of campus. New building in there for athletic training and team room, locker room component be really helpful. The great spectator opportunities in that facility. The way that lines out with some space between courts 3 and 4 for some nice spectator viewing where you can see down both sides. For Coach Catano, the ability to coach without having to walk through fences and go from one set of courts to the other is really important as well. I guess the last point that I would make when you think about both Cutchin Field and the tennis facility is the opportunity to help general students on Murray State's campus as well. When you turf and light a soccer facility, you've got an opportunity for some general student programming in there when the athletic team isn't necessarily occupying that space and being right next to the Curra Center. We're talking about enhancing significantly campus life as well.
That's really exciting stuff. And then when we get into basketball and the CFSB Center, and of course adjacent to it, we already have the Gene Ray Center for Murray State basketball. And when that opened in 2013, it really put both basketball teams on a higher level than anybody in the OVC. So that's already a great space. But Velvet, when we start talking about, well, first of all, the arena is not the young arena that we remember in 1998. And it's amazing when people walk into it now, they just go, wow, I can't believe this place is 21 years old. But it is. And the plans we've got for it is to make it better. And the biggest part of that is getting more seating in that lower bowl. And that would help out. And then, of course, all of both our basketball teams being able to play in a place like the CFSB Center, that's just huge.
And we're very fortunate to have CFSB, and you're right, Dave, it's hard to believe that building is 20 years old or 21 years old. I was around when it was built, and it is a good facility, but when you walk in it now, it's 20 years old. And we've made some good changes, but it's time to continue to upgrade that facility. And having more seating in the lower bowl, that will help. Everybody wants to be closer to the floor. It provides more excitement and energy for our players and for our fans, so it's a win-win there. It's a very good facility, but just a few enhancements there would make it even better. Our basketball coaches do a great job, and it's obviously a very important sport here. All of them are, but it would be really exciting to see CFA continue to be the diamond of the OVC. I remember when it opened, and all the other coaches would come in and go, man, I wish I had something like this. And that still happens, but it would be great for them to continue to say that. And that's what we're working toward, is to be the best in our conference in everything that we do. And facilities, it starts with facilities and opportunities for our young people.
Well, and then we move on to Racer Field, which is the home of Murray State softball. And a lot of folks may not remember that when the program was launched in 2010, they played their first 4 seasons, what we used to call the old car wash field at the Murray City Park. And Murray State Athletics at the time did a great job of fixing that place up and making it into a very nice home field. But we all knew it was time at some point to come back over to campus, and that's when Racer Field opened up. And we talk about an athletics village. Racer Field sits right between the Bine Fine Wellness Center, which is the Student Rec Center, and Stewart Stadium and the CFSB Center. It's almost like somebody built it and just kind of dropped it in there. It's a beautiful place. But the things we've got planned for softball is new stadium seating, a press box, and also turfing that as well, and a video board. So Velvet, I know you're a big softball fan. That's going to help Kara Amundsen's program immensely to have turf and all these things that we're talking about.
It will help her program, and it will help with recruiting. I remember the day that the field was built, and was very excited about it because it brought them home. It brought them on campus, and it's their field, and you have pride in your field. And that's one thing I think we haven't touched on is, our athletes have pride in wearing the blue and gold and their facilities. And their head held a little higher when you walk out and you start to see these changes taking place. And so it's a great location. Again, turf is very important as far as being able to get out and play and practice more. I'm really excited about the seating there as well. Softball's starting to grow in this region, and to be able to host youth camps and clinics, which our softball program does a tremendous job of, is very good. Having those athletes on campus when they're young helps with recruiting, but it also helps their development. And it's just a wonderful spot and location right in the heart of our athletic village, and it will, because it's the heart, it needs to be enhanced and be one of the premier showcases, and it'll be a good thing for our women's softball program.
And there's one idea, Kevin, because I love your ideas of maybe taking the video board and then putting it on the back side of Roy Stewart Stadium.
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of having an athletic
Yeah, 'cause
village,
it's right
is
there.
just some creative ideas, and yes, the space needs a video board for the same reasons we talk about with volleyball from a fan experience standpoint and from a student athlete experience standpoint. But there's some opportunities to either put that in a traditional location, left center or right center, or go a little bit bigger with it to make sure it's functional for softball. Place it on the facade of Stewart Stadium gives you an opportunity to do some different things with it, right? The second and third order effects are you can use it on football game days in a unique way. You can sell sponsorship and advertisement spots on it, which helps bring some revenue into the program as well. So that's an important component that we're thinking through, and it is such a great facility that even outside of the facilities master plan, some things that we want to do out there in right field is, why don't we create a little grass berm for folks to enjoy it out there, and take that fencing and create some horizontal and vertical padding so you can see through that fencing. We're talking about similar things over at baseball to create unique and different fan experiences at the same facility. Those are some low-cost ideas that really will enhance the facility moving forward.
And then we get into rifle, and the Spurgeon Range, named after Pat Spurgeon, our Olympic gold medalist back from the 80s. And Pat's still heavily involved in the program, and we're glad to have her name on that range. It has hosted numerous NCAA championships already. Murray State Rifle is the only Murray State team that's won a national championship. So it's already a great place, but we got some plans for that range as well to make it more spectator friendly.
Absolutely. It's when you walk into the range, the firing points, unique in our industry nationally. The width and the number of firing points that really make that a functional facility. Where we want to get better, and we've made some improvements here the last few months, is creating a nice team room where our athletes have the ability to see what's going on the range, but also disconnect a little bit close to the range, to have nutrition in there, have a spot for our full team to be able to meet, have some lockers. That's one component that's really important in that facility, and the second is to enhance our spectator opportunities. When we push that back wall out into the concourse externally of the stadium and expand that spectator seating, give us an opportunity to put 2 or 3 rows of seating in there where we can host 50 or so folks, and maybe provide a little bit of hospitality for folks that are in there as well. That will truly set our rifle range apart. And as we've talked with Coach Lawler, really puts you in the same conversation with some of the best in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as we wrap it up here, Velvet, maybe just your thoughts on your excitement level about this entire plan. I've been here for a while. This is the first time we've ever had a vision of what we want to do. I don't think you can do this by just spitting into the wind. You have to have a plan. We've got the plan now, and that just gets us one step closer to making it happen.
I'm very excited about it. It is a good plan. Kevin has worked very, very hard to put together this plan, and it touches all of our sports, and it touches our female sports, which is very important to us. And the village idea, I think, is fantastic. Having us all together is really, really important for female athletes. They're a little bit different than male athletes, and their parents are as well. You know, they want their daughter to be taken care of, and having the village atmosphere really helps, and you know, being comfortable where you are. And it also enhances our community. You know, our facilities are used a lot more than just for our athletic programs, and it gives us an opportunity to provide some good opportunities for people in the community as well. And Murray State is a very important part of Murray, Kentucky, and this plan will only make us better, and I'm ecstatic about it. It's really exciting to see a plan and go forward and see what can happen, and it will take some time and some money, but the plan that Kevin's put together is fantastic as far as drawing it all together and making us one. And I think that's important as well, because you know, we've got facilities here, there, and everywhere, but bringing us all together and making us one will only make us stronger.
You know, I was just thinking about, we've had movie night at Roy Stewart Stadium where you could come and watch a movie on the big video board. We could have movie nights, Kevin, at a bunch of different places if we get this done. But I want to congratulate you on getting to this point. Like we said, it took over a year, almost a year and a half to do this study. And there was a lot that went into it. And really, when you look at the plan, it's very intricate, and it's very specific about each venue, what we want to do. And you know, and I also think back to when Racer Arena was built in the early 1950s. That was a huge step forward for Murray State and its athletics program. And at that time, Murray State was leaving the world of small colleges and moving into Division I athletics. And then you go forward to 1973 when Roy Stewart Stadium was built, and it's still a majestic looking venue. When you drive into town, you see that for the first time and you go, wow, look at that. But it's time to make the next step. Well, then I look at CFSB Center when it was built in 1998. That was the next step. Like we said, that's been over 20 years, and it's time to put all this together and make that next leap forward.
Absolutely. We're excited about the plan. It is a plan that, as you mentioned, Dave, has been in that 14 to 16 month range. And it's important to note, I think, for folks to understand that every single one of our head coaches and so many of our administrators and facilities management on campus and our president, Dr. Jackson, to premier architects, a local contractor out of Paducah, have all been a part of that. Engineering firms looking at structural analysis and mechanical and electrical and plumbing. It's not been a plan that has been taken lightly, and so many folks have been involved in that. So, and that's why we're excited, right? Because it is a family effort, and we're pushing that forward. But at the end of the day, we've talked about the steps and progressions, and this is the next step as we make our move. And the point of today's segment really is to just hammer home the opportunities for young ladies in our communities and in this region. And this plan will not only do that, it will solidify Murray State as a destination place for young women in college athletics.
Well, we're looking forward, and we need your help as well. If you want to get involved, just call Kevin or Velvet, and they can certainly tell you how you can get involved with a specific facility or just the overall effort as Murray State Athletics is making its move. So thanks to Kevin, thanks to Velvet for being on today, and go Racers.